This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feast and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each and every week we take a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of all things wrestling video games. My name is George Feast.
And I'm the man they call Johnny Clash, and today we are playing Giant Graham 2000 All Japan Pro Wrestling 3. Will it get a rating of Play It Forever or Future Endeavor? Also, the reveal of the Showcase of the Immortals 2K24 trailer, and so much more.
And as always, please make sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating for this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you choose to listen, and follow along on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. And don't forget, you can get access to the show notes, live recordings, episodes early and ad-free, all as a part of our Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. Johnny Clash.
Hey there.
How we doing, my friend?
We got a little early recording today.
Yeah.
During the day. We had a snowstorm. Both of our backs are probably screaming right now.
Yeah, a little
I
bit.
know mine certainly is. But yeah, years ago when I lived in an apartment, I always said, I am never going to have a corner house again because the snow is ridiculous. It was a family situation, so I would help out and do the snow. And guess what I bought, George? A corner house.
Yeah, I just feel like snowing in and of itself is just always, it's never as easy as you think it's going to be.
Never.
Everything seems like it's so much less snow when you're looking at it from a nice warm house out a window and you're like, that'll take me like 20 minutes. It's never 20 minutes.
Never, and certainly was not.
Yeah.
But here we are. We're having fun, and I'm ready to talk about some All Japan. But first, we need to talk about this new trailer WWE put out.
Ooh,
Showcase of the Immortals. Oh my God.
I have not been this excited for a wrestling game in a while. I think that this is just anytime that there's a overarching bundle of matches like what they're doing for Showcase of the or for the WrestleMania Showcase, really is just, it's so cool. Like it's the same thing when they did the Attitude Era Showcase mode, where it's just like anything where you're not playing as one single person throughout the entire showcase always makes me fun. It's why the John Cena showcase was so much fun, because you didn't play as John Cena for a lot of it.
Yeah, I think that actually saved that one a lot, but still a lot of fun. We have the match list here. There's 21 matches over 5 decades. They revealed Stone Cold's going to be on commentary for some of it. I'm sure they're going to have a few others pop in here and there. But I'm going to read this list real quick. We got Ricky Steamboat versus Macho Man from WrestleMania 3. Hogan versus Andre from WrestleMania 3. Rick Rude versus Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania 5. Brett and Piper from 7. Razor versus Shawn, the ladder match from 10. Brett versus Stone Cold, WrestleMania 13. We all know that one. We all love it. Stone Cold versus The Rock from WrestleMania 17. Eddie versus Kurt from WrestleMania 20. I guess we're not going to get the main event ever in that one. So
yeah, no. And I don't have to Google it this time.
No, and I guess Kane and Undertaker from that was a very short match, so that wouldn't have been that fun to do. Undertaker versus Shawn from WrestleMania 25. Seth versus Orton from 31. Now, was that the cash-in one?
Cash-in or just the outside one?
That's where he cashed in at the end of the night.
No, isn't that the outside
Seth
RKO?
Rollins cash in. Yeah, he cashed in at 31. So he beat Orton, and then later in the night, he cashed in.
You're right.
Becky versus Ronda versus Charlotte from WrestleMania 35. This one is probably my favorite one on here. The Fiend versus John Cena Firefly Funhouse match. That is going to be so much fun to go through.
Oh, absolutely. It was a fun match to watch. It's going to be an even funner match to play.
And I'm just hoping there's some cool commentary from John Cena in there about working with Bray and all that. I hope this whole game is kind of like a legacy to him.
I'm surprised you didn't yell at me and say that funner is not a word.
I don't care anymore. Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens from WrestleMania 38, Rhea versus Charlotte from 39, Roman versus Cody from 39, and Bianca versus Asuka from 39. All great matches. I like that we're going through the decades here. Now, it was brought to our attention in our chat today that this has 21, but 2K14's WrestleMania Showcase had 45 matches. Now, I get it. These are going to be the same format, it seems like, as the previous years, where there's the commentary in between. There's the cut scenes doing the moves, which is not everybody's favorite and sometimes gets a little bit clunky. But I don't know. I think it's going to be fun. I always have fun with these, and maybe we say it every year. These might get streamed. Last year's, I believe, is on our YouTube channel, and I will do it again.
Yeah, I'm still dreaming about the concept of doing the universe mode. I think that's a lot of fun. I think it's something that we could do long stretches of the gameplay in a short amount of time and just kind of backlog content, which is great. And I think it'll be fun. We kind of revisit some of GMP 64.
Yeah, kind of to get ready. Lately on our YouTube channel, I posted some of our matches we played during Game Marks Maintenance. You can go check out a full Royal Rumble, a War Games match that has some hilarious moments where...
That War Games match was wild.
Tecker in our chat actually donated and picked our teams. And there's going to be some Fire Pro content as well coming out. So head on over to our YouTube at Game Marks Pod. It's easy to find. And check all that stuff out. George, do you want to talk about... I kind of skipped over it because I don't really want to talk about... Do you want to talk about last week's game, Bad Girls Wrestling?
Yeah, we could touch on it. It's an odd game. I feel like the more that game kind of set in, the more I think that there's really no one way to play the correct version of that game, because there are so many versions of that game that they're all like, if they're all combined together into one game, maybe that's a more passable game.
I don't know. I deleted it so fast off my phone, and I never want it back again. So
I wonder how many people found the Easter egg at the end of the playthrough video.
I'm not even going to say what it was. It was a lot of fun, and I'm very proud of the outcome. So go check it out. But all right, we're here to talk about some All Japan Pro Wrestling, which is always a fun time on this podcast. Are you ready to strap in, put on those nostalgia goggles, and take the plunge?
Let's do it. Guys, if you want your beard to be soft and smell great, then you need Mad Cat Beard Care. Their products are all natural and made to order with vitamins and natural oils to moisturize your skin and to help make your beard healthy and strong.
Our exclusive scent, Play It Forever, is a blood orange, black clove, and vanilla scented beard balm or beard oil that can make your beard have a rich but not overpowering scent. Plus, a portion from their sales go towards finding care for stray cats, covering their medical bills and finding them safe places and forever homes.
Use code GameMarks to save yourself 15% when you place an order over at madcatbeardcare.com. That's 15% off with code GameMarks. And remember, the Mad Cat makes a happy beard. All right, the deep dive, as always, brought to you by our friends over at Mad Cat Beard Care. Use code GameMarks to save yourself 15% at Mad Cat Beard Care. You heard the ad just a few seconds ago. Make sure and go and check it out. Giant Graham 2000 All Japan Pro Wrestling 3 released August 10th, 2000 for the Sega Dreamcast, developed by Scarab, published by Sega. Other games in the wrestling sphere in 2000, you've got Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, ECW Hardcore Revolution, ECW Anarchy Rules, WCW Backstage Assault, WrestleMania 2000, SmackDown, Royal Rumble, SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, No Mercy, All-Star Pro Wrestling, Fire Pro Wrestling for what system, John?
The Wonder Swan.
And Simple 1500 Series of Volume 52, The Pro Wrestling
So let's see. Hardcore Revolution, Anarchy Rules, Royal Rumble, and this game all on the Dreamcast this year. So that's a lot of fun. Big year for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, very big year.
We always say that the Dreamcast was so much fun, but it just doesn't get that love it deserves.
So ahead of its time.
What
just wasn't appreciated.
What a Dreamcast 2 could have been, because we were entering...
What a dream the Dreamcast was.
We're entering the GameCube PS2 era, the Xbox era after this. What would another Dreamcast look like? That's a story for another day. But
what does a Dreamcast look like, or the Dreamcast world look like if it's released a year later?
Crazy. I don't know. Let's talk about what is in this series, because it was a little confusing to us, because there is Giant Graham 2, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and Nippon Budokan, and then there's this one. We were saying there's a trilogy, but what comes first if this is 3?
Yeah.
The first one of this series, what I believe from my research in Reddit and all that, is All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua for the Sega Saturn Mega Drive.
Yeah, available in the archives. Go listen to that
available in the
episode.
archives. But then I was like, what games have we played here? Because I feel like we front loaded a lot of All Japan games, and now we're catching up. So we actually played All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling, Giant Graham 2. This is Giant Graham 3, All Japan Pro Wrestling featuring Virtua, and All Japan Pro Wrestling 93 for the SNES. And I remember kind of just liking every single one of them so far. I mean, they're all really good games.
There are some other All Japan games that we have to play. I think there's another All Japan's women's game that we have to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some ones for the earlier console. I know that I think it's been the first game on our list for a while. There's a tag team game that's All Japan Pro Wrestling. I think it's like Tag Dash or something, but it's been on that list it's been the first game on the list since we made the list.
I'm looking at that now. And a lot of them also have like Giant Baba on, just him like on the cover. So
that's an All Japan game.
When you search Dash and Tag Team, a lot of FTR comes up. So I'm going to X out of that before I don't finish the episode. So this title features wrestlers from All Japan, but also a ton of legends. It's a very fun game, very fun roster. It focuses more on like realistic wrestling, whereas like the SmackDown games, Royal Rumble, all that, you're getting more, I guess, cartoony animations and over the top. But this is a very accurate to accurate to actual wrestling. And it just honestly feels like it feels like a complete game.
I feel like that's something that probably a lot of people wouldn't A, expect, or B, maybe not realize from a game on the Dreamcast. This is on a list of a very, very few games that kind of tell us, if you know what you're doing, a match can go long, or if you're figuring it out, a match can go long. But if you know what you're doing and you don't want to stretch a match out, you can end a match within a couple seconds.
It's crazy that if there's actually like skill base here based on what wrestler you pick and what they can do. Like Giant Baba can't go to the top rope, but he'll punch you once and your health
can't run either.
Halfway down. It's really fun. They did leave out weapons from this game, which were in the other releases, because it's not really their thing. It's more of a Western release. I don't know. I think when you're getting SmackDowns, you're getting WrestleMania 2000, the ECW games, but then you see this, that just looks phenomenal. It looks amazing for everything that's out at this time. It looks so good. Yeah, there's also All-Star Pro Wrestling, which comes out. That looks also very nice. But there's just something about this that, man, oh man.
But think about, compare this to SmackDown 1. Like, if you're not familiar with this game, do yourself a favor. Open up 2 tabs in your browser. Google SmackDown 1 video game and Google Giant Graham 2000. Like, it is a wild comparison graphically.
Well, think about WrestleMania 2000 and like No Mercy that comes after it. Their arms aren't even attached to their body. But that's the play style. It's everything's just different here. I mean, if you're looking at the list, All-Star Pro Wrestling probably looks the best. But I think when you're breaking down what plays the best and looks the best together, this game's going to come really close.
I cannot tell you how pleasantly surprised I was to forget what these games played like and be more excited to just play a Dreamcast game because we haven't been on the Dreamcast in a while. And then remember that for the most part, a lot of the Dreamcast wrestling games are pretty top notch.
Like all of them. And even if it's a port of something that we're used to, like the ECW games, like I guess Royal Rumble is similar to the SmackDown game.
We got to go back and do a revisited for that Dreamcast Royal Rumble game.
No, we don't. Like even Attitude or Warzone that were all, maybe not Warzone, I don't remember. On the Dreamcast, this one just runs and just feels smoother. And we said it with those games too. They run better and look better than their counterparts from the PlayStation.
Yeah. And I mean, that's even just comparing how we used to talk about if you compare the PlayStation to the Nintendo 64 version.
Yeah.
Like that's a big leap. And now from the PlayStation to here, it's on par, if not better.
Yeah. I agree. Now, the modes you have in here, you have arcade, which is just continuous gameplay. You have tournament, where you set up a tournament, versus play, which is what we did. Go ahead and over to our YouTube channel to watch us play against each other. Edit/create a wrestler mode. Historic battles, which is something we see later on in Legends of Wrestling. And
like a showcase mode?
Yeah, kind of what we just talked about. You're going to redo the classic All Japan battles. Practice mode, which is always good to have in a game, and watch mode,
which just is a staple in Japanese wrestling games.
You know, I was thinking about it though. It's kind of like the predecessor to what we do now. Like even before you came into my screen when we were playing the game, like you joined my screen, I was watching someone play a game.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between me watching Ninja or whoever play Fortnite
and
or
just
these
setting
guys
computer versus computer match?
just throwing computers up and just letting it go? You could watch mode, just throw in an arcade mode and just let the matches just keep going while you're
let it go. See how
doing
far
your homework or something back then. Yeah, I mean that seems like a lot of fun.
Just look up when you hear the cry for the burning move. Like, all right, what's going to happen?
Speaking of the burning moves, the best
man
of the entire game, you have a meter on your screen. So there's a health bar, which is pretty straightforward. It goes through, I think, 3 different color cycles. But there's also above your name, your burning meter, where it looks like, guess what? It's burning. The fire grows bigger and bigger as you do offensive moves. But once it's complete and it says max, all you have to do is tap the L and the R together. Your guy fires up, flames engulf their body, and you're ready for your move. And all you have to do is that L and R again, you grapple them, and it's not just a move. It could be a sequence of moves. It could be 3 moves, 2 moves, 4 moves, whatever it is.
It's wild.
It's the coolest part of this game. It's most likely
by far
the finish of the match, and you could also miss them, which I think is crazy because then
you could steal from.
Yes, you can. The matches are so quick that if you do miss it, you're probably not hitting another one.
I'm trying to think. Like, was there an opportunity during our gameplay where no, we just always had it live at the same time. There wasn't a situation where you had it and then it ran out. And then you got another one.
I think the second match where you stole it and hit me and I kicked out of the finish. I think I was on the verge of getting another one, but you got me. So. Oh,
and then there was one that you had, and then I reversed the start grapple.
Yeah.
And you lost it. Yeah.
So from the previous game, they kind of tightened things up. Everything here looks better. Everything moves a little better. The strikes, the grapples, the taunts, everything just runs smoother. I think we could say it a million times. It's just a straightforward, really good wrestling game.
Yeah, it's from bell to bell. There's, even before the bell, the entrances are some are good, some are great. There's some weird clipping that happens with things that people holding in their hands, or some of the character models that are really big. They're clipped through the gate, but it's whatever. I mean, there's far worse things in every other game from this time. It's think of all the weird visual glitches that happen in No Mercy that people overlook and that have actually been no, it's a part of the game that we all like and we accept it, and it's a part of the game. It's a joke, and people love to talk about how the arms never really fully connected. It's such a funny thing that you almost look forward to playing, and I feel like this game has the same thing where there's little visual glitches that you're just oh, it kind of gives it its own little personality.
And they also kind of emphasize double team moves in here. So when you do a tag match, double team moves are easier to hit. They're more fun. There's more options, which are great. Now, the reversals were a bit difficult to master, but we kind of figured out on the bottom, there's Japanese text for every match that says the move name and all that.
Yeah.
There is a button at the end that will help you reverse it. Now, it's kind of like rock, paper, scissors here. The counter system has 3 rules. A throw move beats a grapple move. So if you press the throw button, it beats a grapple. Strikes beat throws, and grapples beat strikes.
Huh.
So kind of similar, but not exactly to what we do now in the 2K games where you press the same button to stop the grapples and all that.
Yeah.
I kind of like
interesting.
There's also a lot of combos in here, so you can use different moves, different combos, punch strikes, grapples.
Which again, we see that now in the 2K series where there's that whole combo set now where it's like you do 2 or 3 strikes, you can load it in for a grapple, and it's like a whole more expansive style of moveset.
It was a lot of fun. The way you just come out with a running move and then punch, kick, go behind, grapple, Saito suplex, and
we're putting the cart before the horse, John. We gotta keep going here. But do you wanna talk about this roster?
I think we do. Let's take a quick break, come back, and we'll go through this beautiful roster.
All right. You want to do a little splitski here? You want to start us off and I'll take the last 2?
You know what? I haven't done one in a while.
Wow.
You used to make me do the Japanese rosters by myself. So I think I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about first, before we start, the beautiful screen where you pick your wrestler. It's very arcade style. It's the little squares, but then right in the middle, Giant Baba takes up 2 squares. But I like that it's tiered. You have the green, which is your base roster, the gold, which are your legends, and then under the question marks is going to be the unlockables. There's also creator wrestler slots, which are blue. So, your All Japan wrestlers, you have Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada, Akira Tao, Kenta Kobashi, Jun Akiyama, Toshinari Ogawa, Taika Omori, Yoshihiro Takayama, Hiroshi Hase, Taman Honda, Masahito Kakahara, Kentaro Shiga, Stan Hansen, Vader, Steve Wilson. I'm going too fast.
That's the one that you mess up on?
Steve Wilson. Why do I keep saying Wilson? I'm trying to go fast for a reason here so I can go. Steve Williams, Johnny, Mike Barton, Johnny Smith, Wolf Hawkfield. Wolf Hawkfield, yes! Monokia Mossman, and now your legends, you have Giant Baba, Ricky Dozen, Jumbo Saruta, Bruiser Brody, Gary Albright, The Destroyer, Fritz Von Erich, Bruno Sammartino, Bobo Brazil, Gene Kiniski, not Sinisky, Don Leo Jonathan, and your secrets, you have The Killer, who is Inoki, The Crusher, Young Giant Baba, Giant Crusher, Tiger Mask, Shinzaki Jinsei, Hyper, Hashimoto Shinya, Shono Masahiro, Super Brody, Tiger Erection, Divine Gracie, who's a Gracie, the Master, who's a Great Muda, and Sky High Edge, who is not Edge smoking, it is Hayabusa. Easy for me to say, right?
So
endless entertainment here.
I'm trying to think. Why'd you get so excited for Wolf Hawkfield?
Wolf Hawkfield.
That's a Virtua guy, right?
Yes. That is the guy. Yeah. That is, he was in Virtua, but also portrayed, I believe, in real life.
You're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool. Portrayed by Jim Steele.
Got it.
I always popped for that one. A pretty damn good roster, if I say so myself. And you could see it once again when you're on that beautiful cover artwork.
Oh, boy.
Because on the front, you have a nice, beautiful image of some wrestlers in a nice collage with Giant Baba, Brody, Masawa. They're all there. Giant Graham logo that we're all used to with the nice little Dreamcast swirl up top. But on the back, you're going to get the entire roster portrayed with your screenshots. And of course, once again, Giant Baba standing there ever so stoically.
I actually think it's kind of cool that they show the whole roster and very few screenshots. Usually you don't, I mean, it's happened before and we've talked about it, but like to show a lot of the roster on the back cover is different. We've seen it before, but it's not something that's like super common. Usually it's just like a ton of text, a couple of screenshots, like the legal things, like, and that's it. But to have like the way that this is laid out, while it is simplistic in its design, it is cool and effective in what it does.
So I actually just went to the website on the back, sega.co.jp, and that is still Sega's Japanese website.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Sega's still a company.
Just hanging out on here.
Yeah. Don't get lost.
No, I kind of want to. It's a great website.
Let's talk about the actual art style of the game in itself, because it is, again, we talked about it earlier, shockingly clear and crisp and clean for the time. Go compare this game to other games that are out at the same time on other consoles. I think the easiest comparison to the Dreamcast, I guess, hardware-wise, would be the PlayStation. It's just the models look like something that should be on the PlayStation 2. Like, this is up there with, what would you say? Like, just bring it, shut your mouth. Sorry, shut your mouth, here comes the pain, like that.
Yeah.
It is a wild comparison to think that this is out at the same time as some of the bigger and more popular N64 games.
It's just on a different level. Like, you can compare it to All-Star Pro Wrestling. I think that one's a little nicer. This one's less clunky. You do have two beautiful arenas in here. I would have liked to see a little bit more. You have one like really big arena, and then one.
That's the big critique, is that there's not a lot of like environmental stuff.
But it is All Japan after all, so you do have that nice, like, smaller hall type arena with the wood floors that we're very used to seeing. But everything, even like the people in the rafters, the lights, they're all there. A little bit is left to be desired, like you said, with the entrances. The guardrails are a little stiff, a little papery. So when you walk towards them, like, your body will just swing right through them. The crowd's also very papery, which is also a sign of the times.
It's that beautiful, like PNG asset.
Yeah. But everything else looks great. The ring itself, the wrestlers, like Giant Baba's ribs are poking out. Like, it's all there. There are like hit markers that explode on the body when you throw a punch, which is similar to like a SmackDown type game. So sometimes that can get a little hokey, but it's all good.
There's aspects of this game that kind of feel like it's, I don't want to say it's like a mashup of a lot of different features, but it's a lot of features that you would see in other games that maybe this kind of either.
Well, it's how many years later, all we could do really is compare, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point.
So.
But there's aspects of the game that are a little cheesy. There's aspects of the game that work very well. And honestly, the cheesy aspects of it don't bother me enough to spoil the rest of the game.
No, not at all. And even everything from the start screen to the video that plays, the menus, they're all really nice. They're all very, even though they're in Japanese, we pulled out the Google Translate. Everything's very easy to read and figure out.
Even the title screen is cool. Like,
title screen's really cool.
Like, it's a title screen, but it's so effective. Like, it just, it's such a, I don't know. It looks badass. And when you start a wrestling game, you start any video game, if it's some kind of, combat type of game, you want a badass title screen, and that's what this has.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I really like here is when you're in a tag team match, the HUDs are up front, but then your partners are kind of behind it a little bit. Like you can still see them, but they're like grayed out behind it. And then when you tag in, they flip to the other guy. So they're not on the screen taking up space the entire time.
They did a real good job of addressing the fact that the HUD to begin with is big. Yeah. And that it could very easily become something that is, I don't know, not distracting, but just would block off a lot of the screen. And that's never a good idea to do in a game. And two, this is kind of a throwback to like we've seen this in some of the NES games where, you know, they would have the stacked health bars, and then when you would tag, it would like kind of flip. Yeah. Like they would be stacked, but one would be a little bit more opaque, and then they would flip.
Or you wouldn't see them at all.
And the name would just change and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what's crazy is this is the last real named All Japan Pro Wrestling game. Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is technically what would come next, and that's multiple promotions. So this is really the last one.
Wow!
Now crazy. I don't have much of a did you know this week, so I'm going to say, did you know? And bam, 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 bam. Did you know Giant Graham 2000 is on eBay from $26 to $99 and $116 brand new sealed?
Damn.
That's all we got this week. There is a list of the unlockables on how to unlock every wrestler, and mostly it's just beating the arcade or beating matches as certain people. I'm not going to read the whole list because I doubt anyone here is going to go try to do it based on what we say. It's out there. Check out Game FAQ. But speaking of Game FAQ,
is it time already?
Are you ready to sit back and relax? I know you shoveled a lot today. I shoveled a lot today.
You did too. Don't sell yourself short here.
We need some R&R, some ratings and reviews. All right. So IGN actually has a rating here, and it's an 8.7.
Oh.
Now, they said a couple of nitpicks aside, like the lack of autosave or auto-load and the strange tinny sound that comes with the musical tracks, Giant Graham 2000 manages to take the title as king of the Dreamcast wrestlers. With more personality than most mascot platformers and gameplay that's deeper than Orson Welles' belly button. Sure. G-Gram 2K is a great pickup for importers, wrestling marks, and fighting fans alike.
These are references I'm not expecting in a video game review.
Definitely not. Now, GameSpot doesn't have a rating, but it has a user rating of a 7.8. And our ever-loving Game FAQ user rating has a 46% rating of 4 out of 5 stars, 4 out of 5 for how tough it is, and 3 out of 5 for hours played. Now, Retro Gaming Geeks, I found this one as well. They give it a 9 for graphics, 8 for sound, 10 for playability, 9 for lastability, and an overall score of 9. And there's also a nice article on it from Retro Gamer that says wrestling games aren't exactly hard to come by unless you want something a little different from the usual WWE fodder. Luckily, resident wrestling enthusiast Nick Thorpe is here with a full stable of alternatives, and it's a big article on Giant Graham 3. Great little article that comes out a little bit later after the game was released.
It's been a while since we've had so many outlets review a Japanese wrestling game.
You know what? I feel like it's because it's on Dreamcast and there aren't many options.
It's probably a good point. Probably a real good point, actually.
Yeah, that's just a hunch. I'm going to post this article so everyone can see it when the episode drops. And yeah, but George,
all right. Is it that time?
I think it's that time.
I was just looking at my watch, but
yeah, we're technically off the clock. So George, do you know what time it is?
I think it's time to rate the game.
The game!
All right, George Feast, you're starting us off today. Giant Graham 2000, All Japan Pro Wrestling 3. Will you play it forever? Or future endeavor?
It's gonna be a big old play it forever for me. Very rarely does a Dreamcast game miss. At least in the wrestling world. Royal Rumble, questionable.
Very questionable.
But you know, this game just hits on so many different levels.
Does it hit different?
Sure. It's fun. That at the end of the day, that is the most simplistic way to sum this up. It is a fun wrestling game. It's fun to look at. The presentation is very, very nice. The characters are animated and feel alive on their entrances and when they do their taunts. There's a lot of movement. The moves look great themselves. The burning mode is probably the coolest part of the entire game. And yeah, it's fun to play both alone and with someone else. And I know that that's really not a criteria that we say is something that is a viable option, but the truth is the truth. It is. It's fun on both. It's fun single player, multiplayer. The historic matches are cool. Everything about it is a win.
All right.
And now I turn the question over to you, Johnny Clash. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
I kind of gave it away in the playthrough video, but this is a big play it forever. This game is just good. It's fun. If you're smiling while playing a game, it's a play it forever. That's it. It's easy to pick up and play. It's easy to get a hold on. We didn't look up that many controls before jumping in and just having fun with it. So I'm kind of sad that that's really the last Dreamcast game we're going to play.
Which is kind of why I was like, you sure you don't want to go back and visit Royal Rumble? Because maybe now that we did that one kind of early on. And
I want to play a fun one. So anyway, it's a play it forever. And I will be keeping this one on the old hard drive.
Absolutely. Same here. But with that, John, is it time for us to get into the soft lock?
Let's go.
The soft lock brought to you by our friends over at W. Use code GameMarksPod to save yourself 10% at W.GG to get yourself some delicious, jitterless energy. The soft lock is a weekly segment where one of our mega marks from our Patreon gives us a question to answer, a topic to debate. It's a question of the name with a fancy name. This week, question comes from Mr. Best Batch Promotions himself, the Elder Spork. And Spork's question is, there's a lot of dynasty talk after the Super Bowl, and what would John and I consider as a video game dynasty? And he threw a little curveball. He said, hard mode. You can't pick Madden or Call of Duty.
I don't know if I would consider Madden a dynasty because it's hard to pick out the good ones.
What's the criteria for a dynasty? In the sense of a video game.
I'm going to look up the exact definition. A line of heredity, rulers of a country, not that one. A succession of people from the same family who play a prominent role in business, politics, or another field. I say just kind of...
Like a series of games that has multiple hits in a row.
Yeah. I mean, you got to go with Resident Evil and Final Fantasy.
I don't know about Final Fantasy.
No? Are there some stinkers? I've never played them.
Personally, I think that Final Fantasy is a great dynasty, but I don't know what the number of consecutive games that warrant it to be a dynasty. If it's 3 or more, you're good.
Yeah,
but I know that there are some people with some very, very strong opinions about some of the, like, once they start getting into the double digits about, like, you know, where they start changing a lot of things. But I like Final Fantasy.
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk's a good one. Tony Hawk's a real good one, actually.
Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda's a good one. And it spans multiple consoles. Pokemon.
Yeah. So the thing about that, I hear a new one's on the horizon.
A new
Pokemon. There's been some chatter.
They just released, or not just, but a couple months ago, they released the DLC for the current one on the Switch.
I heard some chatter. Something I was reading this week.
Okay.
If you start, say now, with the one on the Switch or one that comes out next.
Yeah.
Are you lost because now there's like 9,000 Pokemon?
Nope. So the cool thing about how they handle the game is that it's all like, yeah, there's always new things to catch and legendaries and stuff like that. But the story, unless it is like a direct sequel, like you had, I think they had Black and White, and then they did Black and White 2.
Didn't even know those existed.
Which I believe I don't think I played those, which I may have to go back and do. But I do believe that those are continuations of the same story, where for the most part, for the ones that I have played, all the storyline is contained within the game. And then for the newer ones, they release a DLC. But they're doing some like really, really crazy things on the Switch, with how they're like changing how things work. And, now you can like have them out and walk around with you. You can ride on them, and like they become like all the things that you would see them do in the cartoon, like you could do in the game now. Like you can ride on Pokemon and use it to like cross bodies of water, and you can get on the back of certain ones and fly. Like,
was this the short version?
No, that was just me.
So my question was, like, how in Silver you can go back to Kanto?
Yeah.
Like in the new ones, do you go back every single one?
No.
That was my question.
Sorry.
Anyway, what
I thought you were just talking about like the things themselves.
You know what else is a dynasty that I'm going to say right now? The AKI games.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
All the WCW games through WrestleMania, through VPW, through No Mercy. I'm throwing it in there.
No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. Would you say... What about Halo or Gears?
I'm out of Gears for a while. Like, I haven't played the new one, and Judgment Day like kind of sucked. They're also, I don't know. Now there's all the talk about them not being exclusive to Xbox anymore, which is crazy.
Wow.
I guess, yeah. I would say they're a dynasty, I suppose. I don't know. There's so many. I mean, we could keep naming like sequels, but Halo for sure, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, as usual, if you
so many options.
If you think there's a dynasty we didn't talk about, one you want to throw in here, let us know on social media and we will discuss.
Sorry about the long-winded Pokemon rant.
It's all right. I still have the lullaby thing I could put behind it. Anyway.
Great.
Do you want to know what we're doing next week here on the Game Marks podcast?
Sure, let me know.
We need to play multiple games because we're doing the best and worst of Elimination Chamber.
Oh.
'Tis this season. We're going to see who's got the best, who's got the worst, the first ones, the latest ones, and everything in between.
Okay. I'm all about that. I like that a lot. That's a good one.
So that'll be joining best and worst of ladder matches, Steel Cage, Hell in a Cell, Backstage. And RKOs.
Oh yeah, that's just the history of the RKO. Yeah,
evolution of the RKO.
I like that. All right, well, guys, make sure to go and check out youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for our playthrough videos and a whole lot more. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. Easy for me to say. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of our shirts. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for this show early and ad-free. Access to show notes, live recording, and a whole lot more. We may even be announcing something soon. Who knows? At GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And as always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Oh, that was hard to watch, John. Oh, man. And leave us a 5-star rating and a review on both Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you choose to listen to your podcast. And If you have a product or service you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at gamemarkspod@gmail.com. Johnny Clash, that is it. I will see you next week in the Elimination Chamber. Do that thing.
Game over, Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future Endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.